Hello and welcome to everyone that's joining. I'm just going to give it a minute or two before I begin this foundation GCSE Maths mini test 1. So this is something that I got from the Maths Genie website. It's a very good sort of collection of all the grade 5 topics that could come up, okay, which is mainly, you know, it's in the foundation paper and also in the beginning possibly of the higher paper, okay. So these topics will benefit both if you are sitting the foundation paper or even the higher GCSE Maths paper, okay. And I know paper 1 is very soon, it's coming this week, and this will be really good revision for some of you that are sitting that paper 1 this week. So without further delay, I'm going to begin. And of course, if you want to participate for any of these questions, then please feel free to do so in the comments. And also let me know if you have any questions along the way. I'll try my best to answer all of them. Okay, and if you have any questions or if there's any issues in terms of you being able to see anything, just let me know in the comments below. Okay, so I'm going to begin with question 1, which is about a car traveling. If I focus in a little bit more, yeah, about a car traveling a distance of 250 miles. And that's what I'm just going to underline there, in 4 hours and 20 minutes. Okay, and we've been asked to work out the average speed of the car in miles per hour. Now, if we have been told to work out speed, okay, straight away something should be going up, an alarm in our minds, and as a clue I will just be drawing a little triangle. Okay, if anyone knows, let me know in the comments if you know where this is going to be going next. What do you think I might be drawing in or filling in this triangle? Okay, that's a really good way, back in my day, that's how I used to remember how to work out speed, or 2 other parameters that are linked to the average speed. If you know, let me know in the comments. Yes, Sally, so speed is distance divided by time. Yeah, so you've told us the next step, but yeah, the first step is filling in that triangle. Now this triangle, I highly recommend that everyone tries to memorize it or has like a visual picture of it in their mind, so that whenever you get a speed, distance, time question, you can straight away draw this, and then, you know, just from that triangle you can see what you need to divide by what or what you need to multiply by what. Okay, so without further ado, distance, speed, time, if we fill that in, D goes at the top, speed and time go at the bottom. Okay, that's just the way I remember it. And then I've drawn this line here just to remind me that if I was to work out D, then I cover that up, and then that means that I'm just going to be doing speed times by time. But because we are working out the speed, I'm just going to cover with my finger the S, which leaves me with our distance being divided, that line is for division, by my T, which is time. Okay, doesn't matter which way speed and time go. Yeah, it doesn't matter which way speed and time go, of course, because it's, you know, they'll be multiplied either way, and as we know, multiplication is commutative, so it doesn't matter which way you put it down. Very good. So to work out the speed, we're going to do distance divided by time, and just put our numbers in. But before we do that, if we take a look at the time, it's a bit strange, and this definitely will be in the calculator paper, okay, because the time is a little bit, I'd say, tricky to sort of get you know, in our calculation, because it's 4 hours and then 20 minutes, but we want it all in hours because it's, the answer should be miles per hour. So we've got a little bit of conversion to do before we actually do our division. Okay, so any ideas in the comments from anyone? How might we change the 20 minutes into hours as well? Okay, I'm also going to grab some scrap piece of paper, just because this mini test really doesn't come with much space. But yes, so what do we think we might need to do for this? So if it's saying, that's question 1, 4 hours and 20 minutes, how do we change that into all hours. Have we got anything? So somebody said, do you do private tutoring? And yes, I do. I was going to say, if you need tutoring, please get in touch with me via inbox. Thank you for the shares, guys. CEO, thank you for sharing. 4.3, brilliant, Sally. I feel like you are way ahead of the game. But does anyone know how we got the 4.33? Or how Sally got the 4.33? That's absolutely correct. But if we were to do this in the paper, and bearing in mind this definitely will be in the calculator paper, okay, I wouldn't really assume that this question would come in non-calculator, because it is a bit tricky to just do in your head. Okay, Vincent's already given the answer. Brilliant. Okay, so I'm just going to go through with explaining how we get that 4.33. So to change the 20 minutes into hours as well, what we do is just think about how many minutes are there in 1 hour. Well, there are 60 minutes, okay? So that means 20 minutes, we can change that by doing 20 divided by 60 as a fraction. And if I do that, you know, and I could even do this in my head without a calculator, it will just be turning into 1 out of 3, okay, a third. And a third as a decimal, which we all should sort of remember, is just 0.3 recurring, which is just 0.3333, infinite number of threes, okay. And if I was to then put that in terms of just hours, it will become, yes, 4.3 recurring, okay, as a decimal. And then if I go back to my question, it was speed is distance divided by time, which means I will be doing S equals 250, which is my distance given in the question over here, and divide that by my 4.3 recurring now, okay, which is my new time. And that I can do on my calculator really quickly. 250 divided by 4.3, have we got the recurring? Have I got it on this calculator? I don't think I do. Oh, perhaps I do. Yes, I do. Let me just get the recurring part up. Yeah, so if I just press that button, oh, done the wrong one. Shift and this button, then I can get the recurring dot on top of my 3, okay. And then if I do the decimal button, it if we are giving our answer to 1 decimal place, it will become 57.7, okay, which somebody did mention in the comments, so well done. And they've even given Vincent's even given the units, which is mph, okay, so brilliant, Vincent. So that would become just 57.7 mph, or miles per hour. Okay, so that is question 1 done. And then if we move over to question 2, sorry, just also trying to read the comments as I'm going along. Okay, so let's head over to question 2, which is sort of related. Okay, it's asking us about a rock has a mass of 114 grams and a density of 1.9 grams per centimeter cubes, and we've been asked to work out the volume of the rock. Okay, so my key again here word is volume. Again, this question is quite similar to the previous one in terms of speed, density, and speed, distance and time, but this time it's going to be the 3 parameters they've already given in the question: mass, density and volume, okay. And again, I can draw another triangle for this. If you know where we put the parameters this time, please let me know in the comments. But again, I'm going to draw an identical sort of triangle as follows, and then think about where to place the letters. Okay, it is sort of important that we get the top letter correct, because then the bottom two, remember, we will just be multiplying together, so their place doesn't really make a huge difference, but the top one we should sort of remember, because that you know, the rest of the sort of question does matter, depend on that. So anyone know what might go in the top one? Just trying to get the comments going at the same time. Okay, no ideas yet. So I'm going to tell you the answer, but I'm also going to tell you a trick to sort of remember which place we put which letter. Okay, so at the top goes mass, okay, and at the bottom I just put down D and V. And what I can do is, the way to remember this, as I was taught in my time, was don't move Vera. Okay, so a way you can remember it is, if you think of it this way, don't move Vera. Okay, so I'll write that abbreviation down as well. So don't for D, move for mass, and then Vera for volume. Okay, that sort of helps you to remember, and of course starting from this way and going upwards and then going down. Okay, I hope that sort of helped people to remember it. And now to get on with the question, we are looking at calculating the volume. So to work out volume, I'm going to cover the V and see what I'm left with. So I'm left with mass and D, which means I'm going to do mass divided by density. Okay, so volume equals mass divided by density, and mass in this case is 114 grams, and I need to divide that by the density of 1.9. Okay, and again I can do that on my calculator. I think I might have the answer, but I won't give it away. Okay, good one, Vincent. That's fine. If you know the answer, you can share it, since I think you are the only one being very what do I call it, interactive today. So 114 divided by 1.9 equals 60. Okay, so 60, that's telling us, is going to be the volume. And now we've also got to remember the units in this case. So if you don't know what the units might be, it's a good idea to look at the densities units, because they tell you what the volume would be, the unit. So it's centimeters cubed. Okay, that's what we are going to take for the volume units. Yes, thank you, Vincent, that's correct. So that's that question done. Quite similar, the first two questions. And then question 3 is a slightly different one. Okay, here is question 3. So it costs £2.20 to buy 5 apples. Work out how much it would cost to buy 8 apples. Okay, so let me know if anyone's got any suggestions for this one. There are lots of different ways in which we could do this question. Okay, it is a sort of a proportion question. So far we know that £2.20 apples. I'm just going to write down A for apples. Sorry, £2.20. Oh, not here. £2.20 for 5 apples. Okay, so 5 A for apples. Divide by 5 times by 8. That's it, Vincent, you've got it again. If anyone else knows as well, do make sure that you join in. So what we can do is divide both sides by 5 first, so that we can get the price of 1 apple. Okay, because that way here on my right side I will have 1, and whatever I do to one side I do the exact same to the other side. So if I do 220 divide by 5, so I can't sort of do in my head, it would be 44 pence. Okay, and then if I was to multiply this by 8, because I want to work out the cost of 8 apples now, so I'm going to just times both sides by 8 as follows. Then I would get 8 apples on my right side, and on my left side I've just got to do the 44 times by 8, which if I sort of do in my head, it should be 352 pence, or £3.52. Thank you again, Vincent. So it becomes £3.52 for 8 apples. Okay, that is the answer to that one. Okay, so nice and straightforward. Any questions from anyone, please leave them in the comments. Make sure you're also double tapping and following me as well for more further live videos. Okay, so this one that we've got here is another sort of different one related to set theory. Okay, so we've got a numbers chosen at random from the universal set, and that sort of squiggly E just means epsilon. we don't know. That just means the universal set. Okay, fancy name is epsilon. Okay, and what the question is saying is, what is the probability that the number is in the set A union B? Okay, so that U just means union B, or it means, so it can be called A union B, or it can be called A or B. Okay, so that's two ways in which you can read that. And when we are interested in working out the probability for A or B, so this is all of set A. I drew it with my highlighter. That's all of set A. Okay, that big circle. And then set B is the other circle. That's all of set B. Okay, so our job is to work out what's the probability that the number can be in either of these two sets. So what we do in this case is we just count all the values that are in the A and in the B, and where the overlap is, we only count those once. Okay, we don't count them twice. So what we're going to just count all of these numbers once. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so there are 9 altogether in these two circles. Of course, there's one that's outside, so we don't count that one. So that means in total there are 9 values that could possibly be that we could possibly be picking from A or B out of the 10 values, including the 5. Okay, and because we can't really simplify this, we are going to leave it as 9 out of 10. Okay, any questions about this one, let me know. So I'm just fixing my camera. Right. Ooh, what's happening? Okay. Can't read the comments. Okay, moving over to the next question. What we have got is question 5, so a standard form question. Just fix my camera. Okay, so we've got a standard form question for question number 5. Okay, it's to do with division. So work out 7.14 times by 10 to the power 4 divided by this entire bracket, also in standard form, and our answer has to be in standard form as well. Does anyone remember what standard form is? What's the criteria for something to be in standard form? Let me know in the comments if you remember that. Okay, Vincent, so is that about the previous question 4? Yeah, set theory only looks difficult, but it's actually quite straightforward once you understand what the symbols mean. Okay. Keep double tapping the screen, guys, sharing it with others as well that might benefit from this. Okay, I feel like we don't remember what standard form might be. So standard form is just used to represent, so this is standard form, this first value here, and also this second value. It's used to represent really small or really big numbers in a standard way, basically. So standard form, the first number or the first value is always in between. So it's always in the form, let me write it, A times by 10 to the power of B. Okay, so you can see A is just any number, but it's not exactly any number. It's always between 1 and 10. Okay, so it's strictly less than 10. It can't be 10. It can be 9.9999, but it can't be 10. Okay, but it is greater than or equal to 1. Okay, but it can't be something like 0.4 or 0.3 or 0.9. It's got to be 1.1 or 1.3. Okay, and the power B, the power can be positive or negative. Okay, so I'm just going to write positive or negative. Okay, that's just a short way of writing positive and negative. And then if we go over to actually doing the division, so there are certain rules that we follow when we are dividing, and they are related to laws of indices. Okay, another topic, which is why maths is really nice, because all the topics are linked together. Okay, if we are dividing, we can divide the numbers together. Okay, and then what we also do with the powers, if we are dividing, is we subtract the powers. So it'll be 4 minus -7. And because the answer has to be in standard form, sometimes what we can get is when you divide the numbers, they might be bigger than 10 or too small, which means less than 1. And then you have to sort of adjust the numbers to get it to be back in this form of standard form. But let's get started with the question and see where it takes us. So if I divide the first numbers together, so 7.15 divided by 5.5, then what I get is as follows. I should be getting 7.15 divided by 5.5. If I change it to a decimal, it should be 1.3. Okay, it's not correct. 7.15 divided by 5.5. I'll put it as 0.013. Okay. Let me just check if I've done that correct. 7.15 divided by 5.5. Okay, so it's saying it's 1.3, but I thought it was something smaller. So in this case, it's fine because it's just 1.3. So that means we don't really have any adjusting to do in this case, because that first number is already in standard form. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just write down my 1.3. Okay, and then also my times sign, and then I've got to think about what's going to happen with the powers. So currently I had power of 4 there and a power of -7 here. So what I need to do is 4, and because I'm dividing, I'm going to subtract powers, which is related to laws of indices. Okay, if you might remember from the indices topic, when you're dividing indices, you always subtract the powers. So we're going to do 4 minus a -7. Here you've got to be careful of your double negative sign in the middle. Okay, so that means it equals 1.3 times by 10 to the power of 4 plus 7, which becomes 11. Okay, and that is my final answer. Any questions about this, let me know. How does that feel? If you have any questions about this one question on standard form, please let me know in the comments. Okay, and then lastly, I'm going to also take a look at question 6, which is saying that given that A to B is 4 to 3 and B to C is 5 to 2, find the ratio A to B to C. So this is a combined ratio question. Okay, that means we need to write A to B to C, but we've got to do a bit of combining first. And any ideas how we might do this? Anyone in the comments? So I'm just going to do step 1, just write it out, which is what I like to do with every question. So A to B is 4 to 3. Yes, Saria, welcome. It is foundation, yes. Foundation GCSE Maths. Okay, so we're just doing the mini test 1 from Maths Genie. No problem. You can join us and stick around and see if you know this might be helpful for you, and also join in with the questions as well. So we've got A to B, which is 4 to 3, and then we've got B to C, which is 5 to 2. Okay, now if we want to sort of combine this ratio and make A to B to C, we've got to find a common what we've got a common multiple between the b's, because they are the common ratio part in both of these ratios. So if we take a look at this, we've got 3 and we've got 5. So we've got to find the lowest common multiple actually of 3 times table and 5 times table. And yes, Saria has already got that, it's 15. So on both of these ratios, I'm going to try and make the b part as 15, and to adjust I need to also make the a and the c part something else by multiplying by whatever I'm going to multiply my b part by. Okay, this will all make sense once you see what I'm doing. I'm just going to divide both sides as follows, and then think about what am I multiplying the 3 by to get to the 15. Well, it's got to be a 5. Yep, Saria, well done. So I'm gonna, if I multiply this side by 5, I've got to do the exact same to the other side because it's ratio. And whatever you do to one part, you have to do the same to the other part as well. So 4 times a 5 becomes 20. And then if I do it on this side, sorry, let me change my pen color again. I can answer questions, but I'm bad at explaining how I got there. No problem, Vincent, that's fine. As long as you can sort of answer the questions, that's brilliant in maths. Remember, we're not really writing. That's the beauty of maths, but always put down all you're working out at the, whilst you're doing it on the paper for those extra marks. Because remember, sometimes you can get away by just writing the correct answer. But if you've just written the answer and it's wrong and there's no trail of working out, then you just lose yourself the chance of getting any marks. So always write down your working out. And if we get back to the question, so we got 15 on this side. That means I'm also going to times the 5 by 3 here. So that means I've got to do the exact same on the other side and times by 3. So if I do 2 times by 3, I get 6. Okay, so now if I write down my final ratio, which I think somebody has already sort of written, I'm going to write it in green. Completely different color to sort of make it stand out. If I do my ratio A to B to C, it should be 20, which was our new ratio that we worked out, to B, which is 15, the common multiple that we found, and then C, which is 6. Okay, and that is my answer to this question. Okay, well done to whoever that was that worked it out. Oh, but Vincent, you just got the last part wrong. So C shouldn't be 9, it should be 6 because we've done 2 times by 3. I think you might have thought it was 3 times by 3, which is why you got the 9, I'm guessing. Okay, so that's that question. I think I'm going to do one more on similar shapes. And then the rest I'm gonna have to do either tomorrow or at another later date. It is quite late now. I thought the ratio was 5 to 3. No, so the ratio was 4 to 3 for the first part, and then B to C was 5 to 2. Yeah, so that's fine. You just made a slight mistake, but you had the right working out, the right idea, so well done for that. Now onto a very different contrasting topic. So question 7 is a geometry question, which is about mathematically similar shapes. Okay, who knows what similar shapes are, or what it means for two shapes if they are similar? Any ideas from anyone? 10 divided by 5 the scale of, like, that's it. Yeah, so but what I was thinking about was the definition of similar shapes. So similar shapes are just the exact sort of same shape, but that's just been enlarged by a positive or possibly even a negative scale factor, okay, depending on what values they've given you. So here we can see we've got the small shapes values, the small triangle, and then the bigger triangle we're trying to work out a missing value. It could even be the other way around. They might give you the big triangle's values and ask you to work out one of the missing sides from the smaller triangle, okay. Saria, I think you're saying congruent maybe? No, so congruent is another sort of topic, congruent triangles. Congruency is linked by, remember, 4 conditions: SSA, SAS, SSS, AAS. Okay, all of that. Yeah, I know, it begins with C. Shapes that are the same shape. Oh yeah, so Vincent, you're saying shapes are the same shape. That is congruency. 7.5 centimeter equals X. Okay, somebody has already given the answer. Times by 2.5. Okay, lots of you have been really quick and worked out the scale factor already. So yeah, let's do it together. So to work out the scale factor, we look at the sides that we already know. So both of the triangles. So we've got 10 centimeter for this side. And we're going to find the identical side on my smaller triangle. Okay, so if I do a highlight, so this 4 centimeter is similar to the 10 centimeter side. So to work out the scale factor, I'm just going to divide 10 by 4. Okay, so SF equals scale factor. That's going to be 10 divided by 4, which a lot of you got as 5/2 or 2.5 if you prefer decimals. Just see any harder ones. Yomo 786. Yeah, so Yomo, this is the foundation grade 5 mini test. Okay, if you're looking for really harder questions, that will be probably in the higher paper that we'll possibly look at next week. So yes, the last step is that we do 3 times by 2.5. Okay, which I'll do here. So 3 times by 2.5, which gives us, did anyone get the answer for that? This is why I prefer sort of to stick with fractions, okay? Because if you do 3 times by 5/2, it's slightly easier than doing 3 times by 2.5 in your head. Yes, so that would be 7.5. Thank you, Vincent. Centimeters, okay? So that means X is equal to 7.5 centimeters. Okay, so that was similar shapes. And then we've got the question on simultaneous equations, which I think we will probably do either tomorrow or next week. Okay, so just give my account a follow, okay, and join me again so that you can get notified for the next live session. I also do a one-to-one tutoring or group tutoring. Okay, get in touch with me via inbox if you want some maths tutoring. Okay, it doesn't have to be that you are in year 11. You could be in year 10, even year 7. Okay, year 8, year 9, any high school year group, it is absolutely fine. You know, the earlier you start getting tutoring, the better it sort of is for you in the long run. When will you be live? Are you a maths teacher? Yes, so Vincent, I'm an experienced maths teacher, high school maths teacher, and I also do tutoring. You can check out my page for all of that sort of stuff. Saria, when will you be live? I'm gonna try and be live tomorrow. That's why I can't really pinpoint a definite time. It's because of my sort of crazy schedule with kids and all. So I will definitely let you know when I do get live next. Okay, I will send a message or a post when I go live again. No problem, and thank you all for your contribution. It was really lovely doing the maths with you, and I wish you all the best if you are doing that paper 1 this week, if you're in year 11. Okay, keep revising, but don't revise this late. Okay, this was just me doing the live at a time when I was sort of free. But yeah, do all your revision. Try and do most of your hardcore revision in the early hours of the day. Okay, so I'm saying somewhere between 6 to 12 p.m. It's a really good time to sort of get your good revision in on the really hard questions that you struggle with. And then of course in the evenings or later on in the day, you can sort of do some easier, lighter revision, because your mind is the most active during those early hours. Okay, it's a scientifically proven fact. And also try and do lots of exam practice by first of all practicing papers like this from Maths Genie. These are really good mini tests that you can do, but the past papers are very good. So if you do the past papers first, just normally without time conditions, so you get the hang of it, then do it with time condition to sort of get a feel of how you'd be doing it in the test. Okay, but yeah, that's all the tips for tonight. And yeah, have a good night, and thank you very much. You're welcome, Sari, no problem. See you all in the next live session.